Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the FPL Pubcast. Back at its usual spot of 6 p.m. on a Wednesday for the first time, and it feels like forever. So this is the weekly live stream where we preview the upcoming game week here, game week 22. We usually have a look at how we got on last game week, but we're just going to have a look at how Andrew got on this week because myself, Roberto, and Trig all discussed our teams on Saturday. Then we're going to preview the game week. We're going to have a look at our differentials, a few wildcard drafts, and we're also going to dig into Trig's mind a bit about why Chelsea might be an avoid. So joining me, first of all, for the first time in 2026, he's here to make some
big balls calls.
It is the lovable FPL Nightmare. How you doing, Andrew? Happy 2026, man.
I need to record them at a higher volume for you, don't I?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. Yeah,
do that today. Yeah, I'm not so bad, although I watched the lock-in on Saturday and I have struggled to sleep ever since because there was an error so egregious made. I thought the entire reputation of the Pubcast is at stake, and I'm glad I'm on this week. I'm glad I'm on this week to have a chance to address it, and it goes to young Roberto the Ghost. Roberto, on the Snog, Marry, Avoid section, the highly vaunted, much anticipated new addition to the show. They asked which goalkeeper Snog, Marry, or Avoid, Kelleher, Raya, or Jordan Pickford, and you said I would marry David Raya because you know what you're going to get from him, but you don't know what you're going to get from Jordan Pickford. And I'm there. What is Roberto on about? Has he lost the plot? Jordan Pickford has outscored David Raya 2 seasons running. He's ahead of him this season. And that's 93 games, over a 93-game sample size. We do know what we're going to get, and that's Jordan Pickford outscoring David Raya. And I thought he must have had a brain fart, the pressure of live streaming. But, and the real shame is that this egregious error has caused an immediate end to the Snog, Marry, Avoid segment of the show, and I'm devastated because I was
You're the only person in the world who liked it, I think.
I was ready for my Snog, Marry, Avoid tonight, and it's been taken away from me by Roberto's inability to handle the pressure and deal with the facts. However, it does go to show just how we feel something must seem like it's true in FPL is often not the case, and that's something we'll get into a little bit later tonight.
The Pubcast goes, Roberto. Would you like to respond to that, mate? And how are you doing?
All good. Good to be back on. And my response to that, Andrew, is, we all have our goalkeepers that we like and dislike. It's all subjective in this game that we love to play. And I'm just into a bit of David Raya. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think sometimes if you're into a bit of Jordan Pickford, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Exactly. It's all based on who you fancy, who you want to snog, who you want to marry. I think
I don't mind Roberto preferring David Raya. The problem is when he said you know what you're going to get from Raya and you don't know what you're going to get from Pickford, but you do know what you're going to get from Pickford, the best goalkeeper for 2.5 seasons. Like, I just feel, if you could say tactically, I feel Raya is a better option with the impending double game week because then you've got a nailed asset in the Arsenal team. That's fair enough. I could take that. It's just when you say Raya's going to outscore Pickford, we can't let these errors slide on a platform as respected as the FPL Pubcast.
when Andrew's joining us when we're 4 minutes into the stream and no one else has spoken for more than 10 seconds.
I'm looking forward to putting my feet up for the next hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we get a poll going in the chat? Should Snog, Marry, Avoid FPL remain on the Pubcast?
Okay. Well, I'll do that when we get onto your team. So just say hello to people in the chat. So Paul is saying you've signed up for a membership, maybe. I'm sure you've been a member for like 9 months, haven't you? Hi to Screaming for Vengeance. Hi to Rob Taff. Hi to John Sparta. Hi to Andrew. I'm 1974. Hello, mate. Shagir, Claire, Christopher, and Adsmek. ADDSMC, I should say, and Chris Woodstock. So in this one, as I say, we're going to, first of all, have a quick look at how FPL Nightmare got on in game week 21. We're not going to look at, please do like and subscribe if you're new around here, because we already looked at how myself, Roberto, and Trig got on Saturday. So FPL Nightmare, Andrew, 57 points, 1.3 million. It does feel ages ago this now, doesn't it? Henderson 7, Gabriel 6, O'Reilly 1, Hall 4, Tarkowski 4, Rice 3, Cunha 2, Foden 2, Bruno G with 11, Voltemade 5. Oh yeah, because he was your big shouter, wasn't he? And Haaland 12. Yeah, tell us how you got on over Christmas, basically, mate. Because it's been about a month since you were last on.
Well, as you can see, I think last time I was on, I was about 3.8 million. So you can see it's been a good few weeks.
Up, yeah.
Yes, obviously, game week 21, the big call for me was Bruno Guimaraes. Only the second time this season I've made a video saying this player needs to be bought. And like that's a lot of pressure. I don't like giving advice. I like discussing ideas. But I gave advice and I said, get this man in, and for him to go and do what he did. Somewhat fortuitously with the penalty, some might say, but we take it. And like the thing is, what I like is the Bruno Guimaraes and Mukiele home alternation. Like I think the top scorer in the game is Erling Haaland, about 160 points or something. The second top scorer, clear by 18 points, is a Bruno Guimaraes, Nordi Mukiele home rotation, where if you only play them in the home games, you end up with 140 points. And that's what I went with. And they've both played Man City at home. They've both played Arsenal at home. And Newcastle have also played Liverpool at home. So you've got those 5 of the big 6 fixtures out the way as well. So I like it. But anyway, I would like to know what Trig thinks of this team.
I think I've found a flaw in your logic about it being the second highest point scoring combination. Because did you input all possible double player combinations when you were working this out? Or did you just do Bruno and Mukiele and found it came second in the list?
What I actually did was Bruno and Granit Xhaka, because you have referenced Xhaka to me a few times since the start of the season. Then I did Enzo Lefebvre, and then I did Nordi Mukiele. I looked at the Mukiele one because it frees up an extra midfield spot, but also because somebody in my comments said Mukiele's done better, so I had a look at that. Of course, I haven't looked at every possible 2-player combination. Of course, we would need a solver or some sort of automated system for something like that. And
supercomputer.
What I am trying to do is called confirmation bias, and I am trying to justify spending the money on Bruno Guimaraes when he may not be the optimal signing. Roberto, what would you say with regards to Bruno Guimaraes bringing him in at this time?
To be honest, every time I've thought about Bruno Guimaraes as an option, I've thought, I don't know, give it a few more weeks, maybe wait and see. But he just seems to prove me wrong each time that I doubt him. So, yeah, I think I've sort of become converted on him as an asset, to be honest. I think the more I look at him, he has so many routes to points, which is the thing that we, really like in FPL. And I just think, yeah, he's sort of worth a gamble, because whereas you sometimes think, oh, pick the more attacking players, with him, he just is always the main man, and he always finds a way to get involved. So yeah, I really like him. I think he's definitely one that might be coming into my team quite soon.
Right, I'm just doing a quick poll. Do you think FPL Marry Kiss Avoid should return as a section on the pubcast? Yes, no, don't know. What the hell are you on about? What the hell are you on about? Sorry, lads. So do let us know if it's something we did on Saturday. Yes, are you pretty happy then, Andrew, with your rise up the ranks over Christmas since last time you were on?
I am, except for obviously I made the big blunder of when I brought in Ekitike
Oh,
I
yeah,
saw-
we both
I
did that.
I sold Thiago rather than Voltemada. If I'd have sold Voltemada instead of Thiago, I would have been absolutely flying. But, you know, at the same time, I do feel the sale of Thiago at the time, you know, I think he'd gone 3 games without a shot or something. And, you know, it is his first real season in the Premier League. And it seemed like the sell, it seemed like the natural thing to do. You know, the data wasn't there. And, you know, he's obviously proved everyone wrong and left us all with something to think about for the future with regards to patience. And as you can see in my team, there's assets I'm going to have to make similar decisions of in the coming game weeks.
Yeah, I think we discussed that on Saturday. I think everyone made that apart from Trig and Kanji's probably the worst move of the season. So let's move on. We had a look at the Pubcast table on, this is the Pubcast Host League. We had a look at it on Saturday, but I'm bringing it up again for a specific reason. So for anyone who doesn't know, because we did talk about our teams on Saturday, me and Trig are around 100 to 150k in first and second. Then you've got Roberto and Kanji who are both around 400k. Then you got Young D Unit all the way down there at the bottom, and FPL Nightmare in fifth. But Andrew, the reason I thought I'd bring this graphic up is you said you wanted to discuss a specific topic. So I'll hand it over to you, mate.
You're going to get me in trouble here because people are already saying, bloody hell, he's not letting Trig talk. And you keep throwing everything to me.
Look, Trig's second's coming up.
Right. What I will say is now I feel we are at a pivotal time of the season. There are obviously divergent trip strategies coming up, whether we game wildcard now in game week 24, later on around game week 32. And for someone like me who is lower in the ranks, the big question is how much do we engage with the risk of going early? What is the best way to engage with risk, trying to make up the gap? Like you can see, I am, 84 points behind the legendary Nick Trigger, 78 behind the landlord of the Pubcast, and I need to make up these gaps. But there are still 16, 17 game weeks remaining. So, Trig, you are the veteran of the game. You are the most experienced content creator out there. What would you say with regards how to engage with risk over the coming game weeks, in particular with the trip strategy and the wild card?
Well, normally at your rank, I'd say don't panic because, but the difference this season is all the casuals still have their chips, whereas in previous seasons they didn't. So they're going to be a lot harder to actually overtake. So I think, yeah, you're nearing the time. I'd say if you were at 2 million, I'd be saying take out Haaland. What would you have to lose by taking out Haaland if you're at 2 million? I mean, basically,
if it was Darius,
you're not gonna get in the top 100k. I think if you have 2 million, unless you do something like that. So it looks like a good time to do it. He's gone off for Boyle. His manager was saying he's worn out. Although if he's worn out, why did they play him against Exeter? It makes absolutely zero sense to me that Pep comes out moaning about that. But I think it's because they're planning to sell Marmoush, and maybe he doesn't want Marmoush being sold. But yeah, I'd say now's the time to start looking at being different. Maybe in your case at 1 million, more minor adjustments until you get till about game week 30, then reassess. And then you might have to go all guns blazing after that. But I think at 1 million, you can still get top 100k by playing sensibly, possibly. But we shall see.
I think my rank last season was about what yours is now, Andrew, if not worse. And I managed to get up to just outside the top. I think it's about not taking too much risk because then you just end up maybe down in 3 or 4 million, didn't you? Instead of.
What you've got to remember, though, is I'm not trying to get top 100k. I'm trying to beat the legendary Nick Trigger, who will inevitably end up around the top 10, top 20k. And that is the challenge. It's not just about achieving a rank. It's about achieving a rank within the Pubcast Hosts League, the second most prestigious FPL mini league in the world.
After Nightmares, Dreamers, of course. Roberto, what's your thoughts, mate?
I mean, yeah, I echo the thoughts around sort of not changing too much, because I do think it does leave you a little bit at sort of a bit more vulnerable to maybe dropping down further if you sort of try and go a bit too differential. And I think you've got to be careful to play it different, but not too different. So around maybe game week 30, 31, if you're at a stage where you're almost within touching distance of the rank you want to get to, that's where you can maybe play it a bit different to get to that rank. But I think you have to kind of tread water until that point, because otherwise you can just sort of start to lose track, and then you can say, oh well, my rank target was never this in the first place, and you can sort of start making up excuses. But actually, if you have a rank in mind now, the best way I think to achieve it is to just have these incremental gains up until around game week 30, 31, and then you can sort of go for the jugular a bit more, probably.
If you were a viewer and you were in a similar position to mine, or even, in the doldrums like Darius, the D unit, how much risk would you engage with transfers? Say you decided, I'm going to save the wild card for game week 32, when we know the doubles, we know the blanks, and I'm going to really attack on the wild card in the last 6 game weeks of the season. How much risk would you engage with transfers in the next 8 to 10 game weeks? Would you go for differentials? Would you play it reasonably safe? What about taking hits to get players other people might not be able to get to, being more cautious with transfers? What would you think about that sort of thing?
I mean, I think you take only like up to -8s probably if you were feeling really sort of out there, because a lot of the time, if you're bringing in players, especially if you're bringing in players that other people already have, if you're going over -8, then you're giving an advantage to other players before the matches have even kicked off. So yeah, I think you have to have a limit of how risky you go, but you have to try and just find an edge by. Sometimes it's even in the captaincy choices you make, because sometimes we're all guilty of it, of thinking, well, let's just stick with Haaland. But on that one week where you pick, a defender and they get a clean sheet and a goal or assist, that might just be the difference. So sort of, it doesn't have to always be transfers that gets you those ways of getting up the rank. Sometimes you can just be a bit more subtle in your decision making, I think.
I think the reason why taking out Haaland's so good is you don't have to resort to -8s and everything else. And even if Haaland does well, you can argue that having all that extra money would compensate anyway, so you might not even lose any more rank, whereas you can potentially gain a hell of a lot. I mean, you've seen people in that content creator league that haven't got Haaland. You can shoot up the table really quick. I mean, 3 or 4 blanks from Haaland, and you're flying up the ranks because of all the money. I mean, he's nearly 15, 16 million now, isn't he? So obviously, without Palmer around, it makes it a bit harder to actually spread the money about. But I think that's what I would do anyway. I think if I was trying to catch up. And as for worrying about dropping down to 2 million, I mean, what difference does it make? I mean, do you care if you finish 1 million or 2 million? What difference does it really make? You're either first or you're last, aren't you, really?
Well, it's like what Praz said in his video. It's like 100,000 or 2 million. What difference does it make? I might as well go for it. And it's a fair comment. What I like about the selling Haaland strategy is it forces you to find another captain every week. I feel like, for me anyway, I feel like if I keep Haaland, there's always that kind of safety in defaulting to the Haaland captaincy, knowing that you're not going to get severely punished if he goes big. But like, if you don't have him, you have to find an alternative captaincy, and it is an opportunity. I mean, we know this.
Mind you, you've got Ekitike this week. I mean, if Ekitike scored a hat-trick, for example, this week, and you captained him, that's 40 points you'd make up on me, because I don't even own him. That's 40 points you'd make up in just this 1 week without selling Haaland. So, you know, are you at the point to panic and sell Haaland? I don't know, but I think that is the best method. Sorry, I interrupted you.
You're all right.
16 game weeks left. 16 game weeks left,
including doubles.
Yeah.
And the doubles are big pivot game weeks. What I would say to anyone who is interested in considering selling Haaland is I would do it, but keep your wild card. I wouldn't sell him on a wild card, because if you'd sell him and it goes wrong, you can always wild card him back in, especially we don't know what Mo Salah's going to do if he comes back. If he kicks on and then Haaland is kicking on and it's looking like they're the only two worth owning and you've already used your wild card, you're up the creek without a paddle.
He's done it right at AFCON, hasn't he?
He scored in every match. Scored in every match, apparently, Salah.
Lads, just wanted to bring up this comment from D-Unit. He's saying, I only need to make up 10 points a week. If you remember, Trig, he was saying that 3 weeks ago, and then he lost about 50 points this week. It's okay. Right, let's move on to.
It's a lot more than it sounds, isn't it? 10 points a week.
It's more like 14 points the amount of tits he's taking.
Right, let's move on to the game week 22 talking points. So I've got players, teams to target, but I think I'm just going to hand straight on to Nick here. So I've titled this stream "Are Chelsea a Trap?" and that is based on the video you did a couple of days ago, Trig, where you were, I'm not going to say you said exactly that, but you made arguments against getting them in when, of course, they got this brilliant fixture run coming up. So do you want to tell us your arguments, mate? Summarize.
I may have been a bit extreme in that video, but I think the logic's there with the fixtures that they have, especially surrounding that West Ham and Burnley games with European commitments, where they need to get into the top 8 of the Champions League, and they're going to have to go to Napoli and beat them 3 days before the West Ham match, when they've got games after the West Ham match as well. And huge rotation. Chelsea rotate anyway. Part of the reason Maresca was sacked because he ignored his medical staff who were urging for players to be rested. He ignored the advice, and now we've got Lavia injured, Palmer on the sidelines, Fofana always injured because he's never given enough time to come back. So that's part of the reason why he was sacked. And there will be a lot of rotation at Chelsea. But however, I was kind of saying that you might wildcard in 24 and find you have no players. But I think some players are probably worth getting just in case, like Enzo Fernandez, possibly a Chalobah, if we see that he's first choice, which isn't a given. It's not a given he will be first choice. But, Enzo, possibly worth it, I think, for the price, because even if he does miss a game or two, he could still be worth it at 6 million. And we've had more news on Palmer, but he's still not right, basically. So he's unlikely to be playing in those games, I think, because he's going to be playing in the big Champions League games. So he's not going to play 3 times in a week. So
didn't the new manager come up with something today that basically saying that, because Maresca was saying he was ignoring the medical advice, and the new manager basically saying he's going to take the medical advice or more, and the medical advice was that Palmer shouldn't have been playing as much.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what I just said, isn't it? Not listening, Gary.
Yeah.
So now you've put me off my train of thought. Now, where was I? So, yeah, Enzo, still a good pick, I think. And he's now become a bit of a better pick because he's better when Palmer's not on the pitch because he's on penalties. So, and they are the games where they could well get a penalty, aren't they? Those easy fixtures. So I'm actually thinking of getting him myself now. So although I've kind of done a video highlighting how Chelsea assets are very dodgy, I probably will be bringing in one myself, and that will probably be Enzo. Although there are alternative strategies closer to the date where you can take a punt on whoever didn't start in the midweek fixture. For example, if Estevao doesn't start a midweek game, you can be pretty sure he'll start the league match. So you could, instead of, if you get Palmer, you're going to have to, I think we've got wildcards later with Palmer in. If you get Palmer and he's no good, you've really compromised the rest of your team and your price structure just to get him in. And I honestly do not think Palmer is ever going to be worth it. I mean, he's going to have a game at some point where he gets a brace. or something like that. People will bring him in, a bit like they did with Foden. But I don't see him putting a run together like Foden did, or just being worth it for the money. I just don't see a world in which he is going to be worth it, because he's still carrying that injury. Should have had an operation, and groin strains are tricky. Got one myself. Off to the physio after this. It's on during the blooming Chelsea match. Very annoying. I can watch the first half, and then I've got to go to the physio. But so I know how Palmer feels there. I'm going to be off at half time. So, yeah, basically be very wary with them. And I think the same's true of Newcastle as well. Maybe Andrew might want to highlight that, because their fixture run is equally as shocking. So, yeah, they're already coming down with injuries because of it. So over to somebody else.
But before we could go on to Newcastle, we stick on this on a minute. I'll come back to Andrew in a sec. Roberto, what's your Chelsea plans for the next couple of game weeks, and how many are you thinking of getting in?
Well, this is the thing. I've got Neto at the moment, who I don't really hate, to be honest. I see him on a similar sort of pedestal to Enzo. Taking on board what you said, Nick, about how with the penalty duty and also sometimes his positioning, his defensive contributions also, that it does sort of have a good upside for him. And he is sometimes a bit more frustrating at Pedro Neto to watch, because he's got the ability. Just sometimes he just is a bit wasteful with some of his shooting opportunities. Whereas Enzo, you kind of know he's going to tick over and not necessarily haul massively every week, but he'll at least get enough for at least a clean sheet point and that sort of thing, and a potentially attacking returns. So I might get another Chelsea defender in. That's the one I have been considering, whether I go for Chalobah. I don't know if I want to do it this week, though. For instance,
you've got to go back to him. He was so kind to you, wasn't he?
He was brilliant for me, but I don't know if I'd want to do it these next couple of weeks. I'd probably wait until game week 24. So then it makes me think, do I want anyone on top of Neto? Probably not, to be honest. But if I didn't have anyone, I would consider Enzo, I think.
The only problem with Neto is that was another reason why he was sacked, because he refused to play Esteval enough and stuck with and they wanted kind of to phase out this reliance on Neto. So yeah, so it's all very tricky, to be honest, which is why I kind of made that video. But you're right. I mean, he could do really well, Neto. I mean, I was encouraging Andrew to sell him a few weeks ago, and I think he got an assist, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you encouraged me to sell him last week, and he did get an assist, but Bruno Guimaraes got 11 points. So, if you ever need someone to bail you out, Bruno G is the man. What I would say before Gary moves on without considering my thoughts on Chelsea, because I can see him.
Thoughts.
Right. What I would say is it's interesting, always interesting with a new manager. And when you look at Andre Santos, last season at Strasbourg, he got in 32 games, he got 10 goals and 4 assists in the league. And that is interesting, because obviously he has played Santos for certainly part of the games recently. And if he does, people talk about Delap being a Rosinho favourite, and he's a nice differential punt if you want a 3-striker. But Andre Santos, with the 14 goal involvements from 32 league matches, is interesting because he plays in the position where we're going to see Enzo Fernandez playing. And I got this I was watching the FPL Wire earlier, and I'm just shamelessly robbing Laterizer and Zofar's talking points. But they said Rosinho likes playing that kind of cutback football, where like the FIFA football, where you get to the byline and cut it back for the player running on, the kind of Frank Lampard style goal. And that Enzo Fernandez, even if he plays deeper, may be the main beneficiary of that. Obviously, if Palmer is minutes man, Enzo will be on penalties. I am on the verge of saying Enzo Fernandez is a must-have, and that's strange for me, because he's not someone I've ever liked in the past as a player. As a man, I don't like him. I find him a snide little player. But sometimes we have to make deals with the devil to get up the ranks. And I don't know. I just, You know, like Trig always puts me off. Oh, he's a wasteful player. Trig always points out how wasteful he is, and he is a wasteful player. But at the same time, he's the highest XGI player in the game behind Haaland, and he has got 6 goals from 7.8 expected goals, which is quite a good record for a midfielder who is only 6.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I decide to go against Bruno Guimaraes, then he might be the one. But I mean, if you're looking at generating funds, selling Cunha for, everyone's saying wait 2 weeks for Chelsea, but I think you can go now. I don't think Brentford at home and Crystal Palace away are tough fixtures for attacking players, you know.
I think tonight bears careful watching against Arsenal tonight, because you're going to get a lot of clues, I think.
I'll say Enzo's a very frustrating. Do you remember I had him on my wildcard Trig, and he didn't do anything for 4 or 5 weeks. Weekend I sold him. He got a goal and assist, I think, didn't he?
I was very relieved, because I was saying the whole time that he wasn't going to do anything, and everyone else bought him, didn't they? But I was right in terms of outcome, but every game he was like coming very, very close to getting points.
I did sell him.
Can feel a bit unfortunate, to be honest.
Yeah, I did sell him ahead of a match against Burnley, so I really only got myself to blame for that one.
I would say my definitive opinion is if you're getting a Chelsea asset in this week, it should be Enzo Fernandez, because he's got the roots to points, he's got the consistency. Everyone else, I feel like you maybe can wait the extra couple of weeks until game week 24, especially if you're on a wild card, and just see the lay of the land, because we just don't know. Is Liam Delap going to come in and get, 5 goals in 2 games like Igor Thiago? We just don't know. And if he does, suddenly you're not just talking about getting Delap in, you're talking about a different structure for your squad altogether.
Roots to points is the new buzz phrase, isn't it? Did we hear roots to points last season? Because it seems we've already heard it like 4 times on this blooming thing tonight. Roberto said it. It seems to be the new buzz phrase, doesn't it?
I'll give you another forgotten word in FPL: talisman. Bruno Guimaraes is a talisman, especially at home, and he's producing the goods. And Enzo Fernandez, has he replaced Cole Palmer as Chelsea's talisman?
Andrew,
I think roots to points has to include DEFCONs, I think, doesn't it? Otherwise, it's just goals and assists, like we've always had. I don't know if Enzo gets DEFCONs.
We know someone who does, and that's Moises Caicedo.
Craig mentioned it. What are your thoughts on Newcastle? Because they have got a couple of decent matches coming up, Wolves and Villa.
I think Newcastle players have to be, if you're going to go for Newcastle, I think it has to be Guimaraes in attack, because I think Alanga's terrible, but he's going to get minutes because Murphy's injured, and we just have so many fixtures. We have so many fixtures and so few players. I've said it 1,000 times this season. Avoid Anthony Gordon. He flatters to deceive. We are approaching a full season without an open play goal in the Premier League from Gordon. He's looking better. But my problem with Newcastle assets is Eddie Howe picks the wrong combinations. I feel the best combinations are Murphy, Voltemada and Barnes, because I feel Murphy with the crosses to Voltemada and then Barnes with the little link-up play, which we saw in the Cup against Bournemouth, and Voltemada set him up. I feel that's one combination. And the other one should be like the kind of pace combination of when we're sitting deep against the bigger teams, Alanga, Visser and Gordon. But he just mixes them up. And part of that is because we just don't have the players. Defensively, you just can't go there. It's Lewis Hall or nobody for me, and that's only because Lewis Hall looks so likely. But then is it sunk cost fallacy? I feel like I've been thinking we're on the verge of a Lewis Hall for weeks, and he just doesn't seem to get them. So I feel like if you're getting Newcastle, you need a Sunderland asset for that rotation, is what I would say. Newcastle at home, attacking prospects, get Bruno Guimaraes for the home game. But there's just better options. You wouldn't be bringing them in now. And maybe that's a mistake I made by getting in Bruno Guimaraes last week. Maybe that, maybe it will come back to haunt me, but I just don't think anybody else is worth it.
Okay, is there any other fixture before we move on to chips? Any other fixtures you want to talk about? The only one that really stood out to me there is West Ham. They've got fairly decent fixtures: Spurs, Sunderland, Chelsea, Burnley, but we're not bringing any West Ham players. And Roberto?
No, I don't think so. I think it's, a few people have got Bowen for that Tottenham game, which I don't hate, to be honest, the way Tottenham are playing right now. But then past that, I mean, Sunderland, that will be a tough game for West Ham. Burnley looks the only sort of good fixture after that. So it's not really one where if you haven't got them right now, I don't think it's worth investing. It's just, it's interesting what Andrew was saying about Newcastle, because I absolutely agree. I have Gordon at the moment and he's been really sort of disappointing and I haven't got around to changing him. But these sort of teams where, they have good individual players, but these fixture runs, they just don't really work at this time. I think we have to wait for another moment to get that timing right, because at the moment, it's not looking good for West Ham, I don't think, the way they're playing and just the lack of confidence in that squad at the moment.
Wolves will be a tough match for Newcastle, because if you look at the expected goals against, Wolves are actually one of the better teams defensively at the moment. They're flying. If they weren't so far behind, they'd be avoiding relegation comfortably, I think, if they started the season now.
What I will highlight with Newcastle is it's not just the fixtures, it's the difficulty of them. I'm just going to, from the 28th of January, which is, 2 weeks away, we've got, until then, we've got Wolves and Villa, which I think are decent games, but we've got PSV in between them. And then after that, this is Newcastle's away games on the bounce. You've got PSG, Liverpool, Man City. Then it's a home game against Brentford. Then it's Spurs, Villa, Man City away. Then you've got a couple of home games against Everton and Man United. And then it's Chelsea away. And that takes us to the middle of March. Now, this is, like, some of them are in the cup. We can't deny that. And there might be other cup matches added to it. But it's tough because that is such a draining run of fixtures. And sometimes a run like that can inspire a team. And I feel like Newcastle turn it on more against the big teams. But I just think they're in a void. Unless it's Guimaraes in a home rotation with Nordi Mukiele.
Trig, is there any other fixtures you wanted to pick out, mate? Any other teams with decent fixtures?
Bournemouth are okay in game week 24. They're pretty good from 24.
Yeah, Wolves, Villa, Everton, West Ham from 24.
But again, they're not brilliant. I mean, I'd expect Wolves to win that match, to be honest. And then the Villa game would be tough. Aware Everton's tough as well. So they're not as good as they. I mean, people are saying they're good. I mean, I just did tonight, but they're not when you look at it, really. Not that great, are they? Bournemouth are rubbish anyway. So
make your mind up.
Other teams will be thinking it's a good fixture, probably.
If you were planning a game week 24 wildcard, would you take a 2-week punt on anyone from Spurs who have West Ham and Burnley? Like,
it's possible, isn't it?
Baker was talking on the above average. He was talking about Matthias Tell, and I don't know. It's a hard one, but maybe like a Van der Ven.
Yeah, Pedro Porro maybe.
Porro's doing well in the models in a minute.
Yeah, I don't mind Porro.
Flatters to deceive, doesn't he? You'd get him in and then he does absolutely nothing like at the start of the season. Andrew,
I mean, you could go with Javi Simmons and just take a punt and hope for the best. But with Kudos out, they're kind of blunted. And I think the manager's going to get sacked very shortly. So
Simmons made a terrible trick. I looked at him. I thought about Simmons for this week's differentials pick. I looked at his minutes. They've just been terrible across the season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
They have signed Conor Gallagher today, so that could be. Yeah, I don't know if that'll make a much difference. I feel like he's the wrong profile. I feel like they need better players rather than. It's a bit like Newcastle. Eddie Howe is obsessed with athletes, and what we need is some technicians. Although maybe Spurs have signed too many technicians and need more athletes. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's move on to talk about the chips. So we went through the chips, when the doubles and blanks are going to be on Saturday, and there's been a lot on that this week. So I'm not going to go over that, but I'll just ask. Well, I'll go to Andrew first about his chip strategy. So mine, the one that seems to be coming out is Wildcard 32 is a popular one anyway. Wildcard 32, free hit in the blank in 34, is it? And then use your bench boost on triple captain in one of the doubles, either 26 if Arsenal gets put back to there, or in one of the other 2 double game weeks. What are your thoughts, Andrew? And then after this, we're going to talk about wildcards 22 and 24.
Well, I look at my team and I think I could do a wild card here, roll the transfers, and just, attack the doubles with the free transfers. But then let's talk FPL. Big Andy, he made a very good point yesterday, I think it was, where he said before game week 32, there's a 3-week break in Premier League action because of international break and cup matches. And to me, before game week 32, between 31 and 32. And for me, that is the time to wildcard unequivocally. And there's a few reasons for that. One, we'll know exactly what the fixtures are going to be with the doubles, with who's going to be blanking. For 2, with that 3 weeks, I mean, you could maybe take advantage of price rises, but there's not a lot really there. But also at 32, we know what we need to do. Like there's 7 game weeks left. We know how much risk we need to take. And this is something when I interviewed Trout from Solio, this is something he was very keen on. Late wildcards, late chips, because we know what we need to do to achieve our goals. If I'm wildcard now and I get up to, say, 400k, I've only got 5 transfers to attack those fixtures. That's assuming I can even keep the transfers. If I've got a wild card and I'm 1 million, I know, right, I need to take a lot of risk here and to try and bridge that gap. Whereas if I've somehow got up to 250,000, I can wild card in 32 and be like, I don't need to take as much risk to achieve the goals, whatever my goals are at that time. So for me, it's wildcard 32 all the way, with that break, the information, and the prospect of attacking the doubles and the blanks with all those chips. I'm not even considering chips until that time now.
Yeah, me too. What about yourself, Trig? Your thoughts changing Saturday?
That all sounds very logical. I'm now joining Nightmare on that week because I haven't even given a thought to wildcarding in 24. It's not something I'd do. I mean, I don't think there's any need for it, really. Who are you going to get in? Just got to get Bruno in. And that's about it. Maybe a Chelsea player. People were talking about ripping up their teams because you had to take, I was looking at it a few weeks ago thinking Palmer might be essential, where you've got to take out GUI to make way for a Chelsea spot and all of that type of thing. I don't think we need to do it now. Just get Enzo, keep GUI. GUI will probably start one of those matches. Might be the best one to get. And
if he was.
Yeah, so I don't see any point in wildcard in 24 when the only players you need are Bruno and Enzo Fernandez or a Chelsea defender. That's about it. I mean, you can all save a transfer this week or next week.
Yeah, I would also just point out as well, like we're thinking of wildcard 24 because of the fixture swing, but how many times have we been burnt by fixtures recently? I brought in Ekatike for Thiago because of the fixture swing, and I'm like 32 points worse off over 2 game weeks. It's like, fixtures aren't. I don't think the fixture difficulty is as extreme as the colours suggest nowadays.
There's not much of a fixture swing at all. I mean, the only one is Chelsea, and we've already said why that's not as good as it looks. I mean, if Chelsea were Man United out of all competitions, that would be absolutely fantastic, and you just load up on 3 of them. But the reality is they've got so many games that they're too good, those fixtures. Like I said in my video, they're just too good, so we're just going to rotate for them. I know Darius thinks they're not going to rotate, but... everyone's got a different opinion, but there will certainly be quite a bit of rotation.
Yeah, I think another reason as well, is to get rid of Liverpool assets. But I actually think keeping Liverpool assets is the play. Like I'm looking at Ekatike and I'm seeing he's got Burnley and Bournemouth next. Not good defences. Then it's Newcastle, and Newcastle have been conceding a lot of goals, and by then we're going to be on our knees fitness-wise. Then it's a tough game against Man City, fair enough, but then it's Sunderland, Forest, West Ham, Wolves, Spurs and Brighton. Like, why are you selling attackers with a fixture run like that? I feel like, especially when they're starting to come into form, I'm actually looking at whether I should be bringing Verts in rather than selling Ekatike, because I feel that's a big fixture. I feel like it's a really good fixture run.
Roberto? I've just
Yeah,
started a poll, by the way, asking the people in the wildcard.
I think with the sort of thoughts on wildcarding, I agree that there's no rush to do it now. I think some of these teams we're not 100% sure about, and obviously with the likes of Man United and Chelsea having new managers, it's still an adjustment period for them. I do think like we have to think about the impact as well of some of our chips, like the bench boost, for instance, which relatively speaking is going to be quite a sort of low impact. You know, we're not going to necessarily cash in on loads of points because it's quite hard to sort of get the right week and have a really expensive bench, because it sort of messes up a lot of the team value and structure. You could easily use that before game week 30 and just get rid of it in a week where the fixtures look promising. But other than that, I would save your more powerful chips for this period we're talking about, game week 31, 32, because like Andrew said, we are going to know a lot more about the doubles and the blanks just to utilize them a bit more effectively. So I think, yeah, wildcarding now is probably only if you've got like a squad that's struggling to get enough players out. But other than that, I'd probably, stay patient on wildcarding, because we can just get more a fuller picture of what the horizon looks like.
Okay, but before we go and look on the wildcard drafts, I'll just read out the previous poll. I'm afraid you've been outvoted, Andrew. Should FPL Marry Kiss Avoid return as a section to the podcast? It was tight, and I may have ended the poll while it was going in the direction I wanted it to. No, 31%. Yes, 32%. What the hell are you on about? 23%, and don't know, 10%. So
you see, it all swung because of a lack of information. It's like Brexit all over again.
Okay, well, let's move on to have a look at two wildcard drafts, 22 versus 24. And before I say this, I say the reason I put this in, lads, and I'll read out the two wildcard drafts, is they're quite similar. And from that, I would suggest if you're going to wildcard in 24, you may as well in 22. So that's, first of all, I'll have a look at them a bit in depth for people who may be wildcarding this week. So this is from All About Football, who are a massive website, which I'm sure Andrew is going to talk about in a minute.
All about FPL.
All about FPL. My apologies. So there, and I have actually remembered to ask people's permission to use their wildcards this time. Theirs is Kelleher in goal, Timber, Richards, Gabriel, Cucurella, and Mukalele in defence. Palmer, Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, your favourite, Andrew, Bruno Fernandes, and Ganaut, that's how it says, isn't it? In midfield, and then Thiago, Haaland, and De Croupier up front. Craig, what's your thoughts on this, mate? Pretty good.
No, rubbish. I mean, you can't go Palmer at this stage. I mean, how the hell can you go Palmer if you wildcard now? We've got no idea. Cucurella, I mean, there is talk that he's going to be super attacking under the new manager like he was under Pochettino. But we don't know. I mean, at Strasbourg, he had Chilwell. So, like, Chilwell's always going to be really attacking. But will Cucurella? Possibly. But I'd still rather go for a DEFCON player, I think, this season. Basically, it's just too early, isn't it? Bruno Guimaraes overperformed. Not enough routes to points going forward. As Andrew said, the fixtures are rubbish. I know he hit the post, didn't he, in the Carabao Cup the other day. Nearly got another goal. But the fixtures aren't there, I think, for Bruno G. It smacks of buying last week's points. And Bruno's got 2 dodgy fixtures coming up. Why get him now rather than 24? And you're missing out on some City players that could do well against Wolves maybe in a week, next week or a week after. Or at Man United. I don't know.
Maybe that is a reason for holding it to 24.
I mean, it's no different from the teams we've got, is it really? Apart from it's got Palmer in.
And Bruno.
With Bruno.
Fernandes.
I mean, we could probably all get that team this week if we wanted to without using a wild card. I mean, I could do it. I've got 3 free transfers. I could have that team. Do I want it? No.
Andrew, what's your thoughts on this? And also, you said you wanted to talk about all about football because a website you use quite a bit. That's what you said.
Yeah, what I would say is all about FPL.
All about FPL, sorry.
They are an excellent website. They've done very well in the FCA awards for the last few years. But I know a lot of people get frustrated with some of the other websites which have paid subscriptions. All About FPL is completely free, and they do a captaincy kind of thing where they decide, like they go for the best captain, and it's a good thing. That's the one I always check each week, and obviously at the minute it's just Haaland, but they're a really good website, completely free, and they do like an ultimate guide which has lots of like differentials and buy, sell, keep, all that sort of stuff. Worth checking out. Now, what I would say is that when they do a wildcard guide for each game week, they come up with several different drafts, and there would have been a justification behind this one, but it's not a good draft really. I feel like the real problem with every draft people are coming up with in game week 22 is like the Cole Palmer injury has killed it as an option, because you like Trig says, you don't need to do a wild card. You need a wild card to get Palmer in, maybe, and Fernandes, but now you just don't, because Enzo is the player. And yeah, I feel like Adam from Above Average, he activated the wild card like at close of play last week, and he must be sat there regretting his choice, because it's not the week. It just isn't. And if you have, like, the problem with this one, if you're wildcarding now, it needs to be robust. It needs to hold up long term, and this one just doesn't. For me,
Roberto, any thoughts?
I actually don't hate this much as you two hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it. I just feel like in 5 game weeks you're going to be wishing you'd pick different players.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the players here, as Nick was saying, they're not too far away from a lot of the players we've had a lot of the season, and so we might already have. So, for instance, Gabriel, Timber, Thiago, Haaland, probably Krupi, Dubravka. It's almost like that's the sort of players we're all familiar with, and then a few risks with Palmer, maybe at the moment Cucurella and Janelt. Outside of those, and that's pretty much the squad. So I think there's a few players here that I do quite like Thiago, Haaland, Rice, Timber, Gabriel. But outside of that, yeah, it's not terrible. I think it is about timing. It is not necessarily about personnel, because so all these players in their own right do score FPL points. They're not prone to doing that, but to blanking. But yeah, I just think when that there's a bit more uncertainty with some of these teams and better fixture runs at later stage in the season, it's just about timing, really. If you do have a squad that's in need, then that's fair enough. But I'm not too disheartened with this team. If you want to go for it, then I think it's not.
And all those options you read out as ones you liked are the ones we've pretty much all got already, like Thiago and Haaland.
Exactly.
Let's move on to 24 team. So this is from Game Week Guru, who you can find on X using @Game Week Guru. So I'll read out the team first. Sanchez, Gabriel, Timber, Mukalele, Anderson and Goodmanson in defence, Saka, Palmer, Fernandes, Tavernier, Enzo in midfield, Haaland, Jesus, Krupier up front. So obviously there are some personal decision differences between here, but it's quite a similar. If you were going to build a wildcard draft for 24, you could pretty much do it now. That's what I would sort of. You could have Thiago instead of Jesus. You could have Bruno Guimaraes instead of You know what I mean? You could make these switches. Andrew's not happy.
Igor Jesus is a terrible pick. Terrible. He's got 1 goal and 2 assists all season.
I know.
In
I know. Review won't be
13
pretty.
starts. It's like you're thinking, oh, maybe you'll get lucky, but you could have Mane, who has got 1 goal and 2 assists in about 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just a terrible pick. There's way better options. Calvert-Lewin is like 0.1 million more expensive. Oh, I hate that pick. Hate it.
I even overrid my FPL review because it wanted me to get in Jesus instead of Thiago last week, and I looked at it and he's got 1 goal. But do you get the point? I mean, if you were going to wildcard in 24, you may as well do it now. Would you agree with that, Trig? I know none of us are advocating for wildcarding now, but
No, I don't agree. Especially if you're bringing Palmer in, you do it now. It's absolutely ridiculous. At least if you wait till 24, and by then you know you don't want him. So, I mean, to me, the fact he's got the captaincy on Palmer highlights how bad it is, because 3 days after that Napoli match, which will decide if they're into top 8 or not, they have to play West Ham. You can't even say Palmer a start. So how can you put the armband on someone when you don't even know if they're going to play? So if he's going to go all out for Chelsea, I reckon he'd be better off taking out Igor Jesus and putting Delap in as a punt rather than doing that. But I mean, the whole thing's flawed. I mean, it's just rubbish. It's not that rubbish. If you take Jesus out and Palmer, then it's all right.
got Tavernier.
Tavernier's all right, I think.
I would just highlight one of the comments in the live chat, which is from No Week Foot 98, who says it's not ridiculous to go early because of price rises. And I feel like that's a good talking point, because they have slowed down a lot recently. And I know Trig is very keen on not focusing on price rises when it comes to decision making. So I would like to give the floor to Trigger to discuss that point.
Well, the thing is, we don't know which players we're going to want in. We think we know, don't we? We think we know which players we want in game week 24.
Back in a sec, lads.
But we don't really. We haven't got much of a clue. I mean, 2 weeks ago, nobody was considering Tavernier in their teams. 2 or 3 weeks ago, anyway. And we all thought Palmer was going to be a lock, and now we're thinking he isn't at all. So much can happen between now and game week 24, and prices aren't moving that much. And the other thing is, there's so many people are going to be wildcarding that it cancels out price rises. So, I mean, has Enzo gone up this week? He might have gone up 0.1 or whatever. He's really the only one, I think.
Yeah,
I'll tell
you. One.
Go for Andrew.
No, I was going to say you go for it, Roberto.
We're all too nice. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin in this team would improve it over Igor Jesus, because then at least you've got a second striker you actually want to play. I mean, Krupi Jr. is a good third choice, but I also don't like Anderson or Goodmanson. I just think both of them have been a bit highly overrated this season. But the rest of it, I actually don't hate. I think Tavernier is great. Mukiele is great. Maybe Sanchez is a bit iffy, but other than that, pretty happy with this team.
I quite like Šeško. I mean, if I was going to get a pricer in a strike in that price bracket now, I'd go with Šeško. I think he's 7.2. United have got no other fixtures apart from Premier League now. The next 2 are a bit dodgy, but in game week 24, they're actually good. So if I was wildcarding in 24 into this structure, I'd definitely have him over Jesus. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's seems to have come alive now that Amarin's disappeared, which is a bit strange.
What do you make of Tavernier as a pick? Because obviously he's very cheap. A lot of people comparing him to Szoboszlai, but Tavernier has obviously got 4 goals and 3 assists in the league. He got I think he scored against Newcastle at the weekend in the cup. And Bournemouth do get a lot of set pieces and stuff. Because what would you say about people considering Semenyo? Tavernier.
Yeah, they always do seem to find a way to recover Bournemouth, don't they? Like they sold Semenyo, maybe they'll be okay. But some people are saying Cooper Jr. might be on penalties. It's not a given that Tavernier is on penalties. I mean, it's kind of coincided with him rising to the top of the review and everything, isn't it? Which is why Gary brought him in, and he got an assist and a goal in midweek as well.
Shut up.
So it's kind of really encouraged everybody to get him. He's like the new shiny toy, isn't he?
I had him in before the models up there.
It actually made me wonder if Gary is in league with review, and maybe even Gary is the projection setter for review. That would be a heel turn nobody would ever expect.
I think Tavernier was the second pick, but Gary hates Anderson, so he didn't pick Anderson, so he went down and bought the next one, which was Tavernier.
Lads, if we move on to look at the game week, do let us know when you're wildcard. In a minute, nearly 50% are wildcarding this week, lads. So they're not going to be happy with us. They shouldn't. So this... Go on, Andrew.
I had nothing to say, really.
What was that? Did you say 50% of people are wildcarding?
Now, I know
Really?
what I would say right now, to interrupt, is that I know right now in the chat, D units there typing away, why are you doing these odds from Rob T? They never get anywhere. But I watched D units video earlier, and he predicted 2 correct scores out of 10 matches last weekend. And Rob T is a lot more accurate than that. So D unit can simmer down. Oh, there he is. This graphic bin it off. It's horrendous. Not as horrendous as the D unit's predictions.
And you know what he'd be saying
certainly not as horrendous as his stupid cards predictions, which is like on a massive deficit now. And what I am grateful for Darius for this season is actually showing just how wrong we can be with our gut instinct about things. He is a fantastic case study for not buying our own hype.
And I know what he'd have been saying about those 2 correct calls.
The called it. What did I tell you? I told you. I called it. I called it a long.
I'm sure even if he got 1 right, he.
Well, that is Darius, isn't it? He'll get 8 things wrong. He gets 1 half right and claims it as genius.
So the game week 22 fixtures, brief overview. Man United City's the first game. City obviously slight favourites there. Chelsea Brentford, Chelsea favourites there. Liverpool Burnley, Liverpool obviously high favourites there and highest predicted goals of the week and clean sheets 2.5, 2 predicted goals, 47% clean sheet chance. Sunderland Crystal Palace, you could not have close odds in the world than that. So that's definitely predicted to be a draw. Leeds, Fulham, Leeds slight favourites. Spurs, West Ham, Spurs favourites. Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal, Arsenal favourites. Wolves, Newcastle, obviously Newcastle, heavy favourites there. Villa, Everton, Villa, decent favourites there. And then on Monday night, Brighton, Bournemouth. Brighton, slightly above average favourites there. Lads, so what we usually do here is talk a bit about the captaincy. So, well, is there any argument against Haaland this week from any of you guys? Are any of you guys thinking?
Oh yeah,
Andrew?
There is.
I am.
I don't think
much,
so.
I am very much looking at Yamane Katike, and you might say it's a gamble too far, but I just don't think it is. If I had Wirtz, I'd be considering Wirtz. Haaland
Going to be in that shed again.
Haaland is bang out of form. He's got 1 penalty in 4 league games. He did out against Newcastle, and he didn't even look dangerous against Newcastle. He didn't even look dangerous. And I mean, they put him in the team against Exeter to try and get him some goals and fudge his numbers a bit, and he did out. You know, Semenyo. If I had Semenyo, I'd be captaining Semenyo over Haaland. But I think you look at the Liverpool.
Semenyo.
Well, I mean, look how dangerous he looks for Man City already. And there's a possibility if Haaland is as exhausted as Pep claims, and I think Pep is saying that to try and cover for his lack of form. But I think you could even see Semenyo playing up front towards the end of the game. But the other option, of course, is Gabriel, who is pushing Haaland for points per game. He's like right behind him, a
Gabriel's
lot
good.
closer than people think. In Arsenal, you know, they're always good for a clean sheet. You're going to have 40+% clean sheet odds for Arsenal for the rest of the season. Gabriel, any game week, is a decent punt as an alternative captain. I mean, I'm seeing people in the comments say, "Oh, Haaland loves playing against Man United," but I'm sure I read earlier that it's at Old Trafford, his record isn't as good as people make out. That is, it favours the Etihad. But also, I'd point out Haaland always tails off in the second half of the season. It's like he has too much Christmas pudding.
Yeah, so I've done a quick poll. Tell us who your captain and just use your examples there. Haaland, Ekatike, Gabriel, someone else. Trig, any thoughts about going against Haaland?
Yeah, I'm very low on Haaland. I'm not looking
Really?
forward to this week because I don't have any alternative, really. That's the problem. And he's been awful. He hardly touched the ball against Newcastle. He's looking sluggish, and he was a bit better in the second half, to be fair, but first half, absolutely awful. He hasn't done anything for 5 weeks, has he? And it's not an easy fixture. They got Carrick coming. They're going to be fired up for it. So he's not. I think his share of City goals is going to drop too now that Semenyo's come in. So I'm not high on him at all, which is why I was saying that if you're chasing, get rid of him. But I honestly don't have an alternative. If I had Ekatike, I'd put it on him without doubt, I think.
No temptation, Gabriel?
No, I wouldn't go for a defender. I mean, it's
What-
probably a
There
good
is
idea too,
something
but
else too, and
it's
he's
not something
not-
I've ever done.
For clarity, because, you know, we are devoted to accuracy on the pubcast, I've just looked up the numbers, and Haaland has 8 goals and 3 assists against Man United in 6 league matches, and 2 goals and 1 assist at Old Trafford in 2 games, and both came in the one game. So that is the actual stats on Haaland versus Man United. I mean, they're good, but I mean, his numbers are good against everyone, really.
Circumstance, isn't it?
I think you go against him this week. I think there's options. I think Enzo Fernandez is a good option as a bit of a punty one.
Really?
I think well, why not? I think
No.
Gabriel's a good option. Do you know what? I actually think Igor Thiago's a good option as well. And I'm going to get into Igor Thiago a little bit later. Chelsea have got a worse expected goals conceded than Wolves. Now, if Igor Thiago was playing Wolves, you'd be thinking about it. The bloke's just scored 5 goals in 2 games, and he's gone up against a Chelsea team who are much rotated, with a rookie manager who are conceding a lot of chances and who concede the most goals. Like, the most goals they concede are to centre forwards. I don't think Igor Thiago is a bad shout at all. Certainly over Haaland this week. I mean,
Roberto,
I'm not
sitting there-
feeling it. I'm not feeling it, to be honest. I just
you're not
think
feeling it.
Haaland against Man United. I seem to remember in the reverse fixture, Man City had like back-to-back defeats, and they won a really bad run. And they play Man United, which is like the present match, the match where they're given a chance to return to form. And I just think, like, Man United defensively, I mean, they made Wolves look good a few weeks back, and Man City just scored 10 recent. I just think that team in general, they're clicking now. And I think with Semenyo as well. It was against Exeter, but I think Semenyo is a really good addition. And I get what you're saying about, will that take away from Haaland's goals? But I think actually it might add to them, because he's so good at supplying those crosses, you know, into the danger zone, where sometimes some of City's wingers have got a lot of, you know, flashiness, but they don't always have the end product, whipping balls in for Haaland. So yeah, I think I can't look past him, to be honest. And the other options, like, you know, your Gabriels or your Enzo Fernandez, I just think I wouldn't be confident enough on the results of those matches. Arsenal probably do win, but do they definitely have a clean sheet? Forest home, I'm not 100% sure.
what were you just saying about Igor Jesus? Well, I would say to divert back to, you know, proving myself right. In the last 4 games at Stamford Bridge, Brentford have 2 wins and a draw. And in those games, they've won 4-1, they've won 2-0, they've won 2-0. Yeah.
But we've not seen...
They've got 3 wins. 3
We've
wins
not
and
seen
a draw.
Rosinia's Chelsea in the Premier League yet. They might be incredible. That's the thing. It's like we
Do
just
you-
don't have.
You might
thing
put
to
my
base it
school PE teacher in charge of Chelsea, and he might be incredible as well. But it's not very likely, is it? Like we're talking, Rosinia's talking about Robert Sanchez playing as a centre back. Like, let's be real. What is more likely is that Sanchez tries to do this progressive football that Rosinia wants, and Thiago just feasts. You know, it would be in line with the history of the fixture. It would be in line with the form of the player. And we all know Sanchez loves a blunder.
Do you want tonight's lineup for Chelsea?
Yeah, go for it,
It's a
Trig.
bit old. Sanchez, Achimpong, Chalobah, Fofana, Cucurella, Enzo, Santos, Esteval, João Pedro, Neto, and Gui. So Gui's the
Gui.
striker against Arsenal. This is what I'm saying. Gui is not going to be, he could be a decent option by the time we get to some of those games. But what's his face isn't even on the bench, Delap. So
Do you know
I
Arsenal's
don't know.
team? Trig?
Yeah, I've got Arsenal's team. We got White and Timber are both playing. Gabriel Saliba, Arrizabalaga in goal. Timber, Rice, Zubamendi, Odegaard, Saka, Trossard, Gyökeres. So it seems to be the trend now, doesn't it, to give your second keeper a game in the Carabao Cup. That's what City did as well, wouldn't it, yesterday? So
Otherwise,
given
both pretty
Raya
strong,
a
though.
rest. Yeah,
Another-
everyone's gone strong. The mighty Gui. Thing is, they haven't got Delap on the bench, which is a bit
Yeah.
weird.
Another-
So, yeah, strange.
Andrew?
Just something else I wanted to come back on as I was researching the Brentford versus Chelsea. I heard in my headphones, I heard Roberto saying, you look at the fixture, Haaland versus Man United, there's a narrative there. I'll tell you another narrative for that match, and that's Bruno Fernandes back in the 10, puts his local rivals to bed to give Michael Carrick a win as Manchester United manager in his first match. And I think that is equally as likely as a Haaland haul this weekend.
I think you've been spending too much time. You sound like Darius.
No, I agree. It's City haven't been in great form, really. They haven't been in great form.
They're missing half the defence.
Mm.
Fair enough, this young lad, Elaine's done well, but who's he played?
Yeah,
Johan
but
Wisser.
he's
Wisser
next
the
best thing.
misser.
Newcastle.
Exactly.
He's the next best thing since sliced bread, though, Elaine. Yeah, so
Wisser the misser.
You got
He's
to
only
say fair play to
4.5
Watford.
million. 4.5
Yeah,
million.
you see,
Why
We
haven't you
made him
got him in
into
your
a
differentials,
top player.
Roberto? Oh, is he
Well,
maybe
ex-Watford? Is he ex-Watford?
Yeah,
Now it all
yeah.
comes out. Now the truth comes out.
This is
Well,
why
how-
he's playing
how
out of
is-
his skin.
How is generational talent Joao Pedro doing, Roberto?
Well, he's not being played enough. It's criminal.
We'll
It's
find out
actually
tonight.
it's a real shame. Because
So where's he playing
he's
tonight? He must be
class.
playing in the 10. Must be playing in the 10. Which means
suppose
Enzo
so, yeah.
Fernandez isn't.
Let's you move on to our differentials. I'll just say at the minute, Haaland is at 53% in the captaincy. So it doesn't seem like the community, at least our community watching us, moving out. Ekateke 22, Gabriel 11, someone else 14.
I do
That's
think
surprising.
I do think polls 3 days before the deadline are deceptive because I feel like people always feel braver when the deadline's further away. Like, come the deadline, most will default to Haaland.
Well,
know, like,
A lot
it-
don't own. A lot
No.
don't own Ekatike, so they're going to go Haaland. You've got that as well.
Yeah, I should have phrased it who's the best captain instead of who you captain, maybe, shouldn't I? Anyway, let's move on to our differentials. So if you've not watched before, this is where we pick a 5% or under owned player every game week, and we've been doing it for a month or two now. So top of the pile this week is Roberto with one of his great picks. He is the wild man of the differentials. Aronson, who came in with 14 points. I had a nice Collins with 13 points. Nightmare and Roberto with 6. Kanji had Hall with 4 points. And I think Casemiro 4 points and Trig with a great Chow with 1 point. So I'm top of that league.
Minus 1 point, more like.
Minus 1 point. I'm top of that league at the moment, followed by Andrew, followed by Darius, followed by joint last of Trig, Roberto, and Kanji. But more interestingly, let's get on to our picks for this week. So Trig's gone Szoboszlai, Andrew's gone Matoma, Roberto's gone Trossard. I think he may have got, no, it was Dean that went for him. I've gone for my wonderful Tavernier. I mean, if anything, that marry kiss of snog avoid thing. I think I would marry Tavernier at the minute. I'm going all in on him at the moment. Kirkes and Barnes. So lads, I'll ask you to justify your selections. Roberto, I'll come to you first with Trossard away to Nottingham Forest. A bit of a less out there call from you than usual.
Well, you think this one's a bit more template? I mean, thing is, Arsenal
We've
players.
had it a few times.
Yeah, I mean, they've been so good, obviously, all season that I feel obliged to go back there. I mean, he did get subbed early against Liverpool, but it was sort of a game state thing. With it being 0-0, Arteta wanted to make a couple subs, around the hour.
You've made
mark,
notes, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
I come prepared. And obviously, he did pick up a yellow in that Liverpool game. But what Trossard is he's for me still winning that battle for starts over Martinelli, especially with what Martinelli did against Liverpool. Pushing over poor old what's his face that's now out until the rest of the season, Bradley. So yeah, I think Trossard's really exciting. Whenever he sort of gets involved, he sort of raises the roof a little bit and has that impact. Forest as a fixture, I think is really good. It's really good potential. And I think Arsenal, I mean, if Arsenal don't win this game by 3 or 4 goals, I'd be very surprised. It's just whether or not they concede. Hence why I'm not too keen on the Gabriel captaincy, because, it's inevitable now that we've slagged off Igor Jesus tonight that he'll go and bag a goal.
Yeah.
But I think Trossard is one that could be a good shout, especially because of how many goals really they're conceding now, Nottingham Forest at the moment. And yeah, this might be a good one, I think.
Trig, I'm gonna take up a Kanji point here. Over Christmas, of course, it was mainly me, you, and Darius and Kanji on stream, and of course there was a bit of a divide within the Pubcast community with you and D Unit very much anti Szoboszlai, and me and Kanji very much pro Szoboszlai. But yet your differential pick happens to be Szoboszlai. Trig, what's going on here, my friend?
It's a fear pick. Fear. No, if he gets points in any game, it is going to be this game, isn't it? All we got to do, as non-owners, is survive this game, and he'll be leaving. All the analytic community are selling, and they'll all buy Tavernier.
It will be.
Because there's a good chance he's playing as a defender this week, I think, to be honest. Because what old Frimpong will play as a winger, Szoboszlai being behind, and Wirtz will be at the 10, won't he? With Gakpo on the left. So I think he is going to be playing as a defender probably. So that's not good for people. But he has got, as you lot like to say, routes to points. So we shall see how many routes he's got to 2 points. But,
more chance of DC, I guess, playing defender.
He got a great goal, didn't he, in midweek? But he might not even start because Slot looked very pissed off when he created that own goal, or nearly own goal, wouldn't it? It was all his fault. So you never know. He might not even start, but very good goal. But like he's had one of them in like 14 weeks, hasn't he? So the next one could be a long time coming. He spent the entire match trying to recreate his first goal, didn't he, the other night?
Andrew, you've gone for. Go on, mate. Sorry.
I was just going to say on Dominic Szoboszlai, like I've been thinking about this, And like Liverpool have got a history of this sort of player, takes some of the free kicks, great at shooting from distance, defensive bite, some sort of a penalty share, and it just hit me. It's Dominic Shelvey. Great for a screamer 3 times a season, but then he's not an FPL pick. But I it might work. He's as good a pick as anyone really this week. I mean, if you're picking someone on set pieces and a distance shooting threat against Burnley, you've got a chance. But I went for Mitoma to transition away from Dominic Szoboszlai. And look, Mitoma, he's been quiet this season. He's had his injury problems, but
he was such a name, weren't he, Andrew, a few years ago? Everyone, Mitoma. And like in the FPL, you hardly hear his name anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, last year we got 145 points from 2,500. Yeah, from 2,597 minutes. He actually had his best season last season, but I just think Yankuba Minte has kind of stolen a bit of his thunder because he's cheaper. But also he's missed most of this season and he hasn't been spectacular. But, last week he got 0.86 XGI against Man City. He got the goal. This week he's up against Bournemouth, who just sold the best player. Bournemouth really poor defensively on the road. I just think, it's a differential. It's a bit of a punt. Why not? I did consider Harvey Barnes. Darius has obviously gone for Harvey Barnes. And the reason I didn't go for Harvey Barnes myself is just, like I said earlier, I just think Newcastle are flagging. I feel like it's starting to kick in. Like, around 60 minutes to start struggling. And I don't know, Barnes, he could do really well. He could. There's no denying it. But Wolves, like I said earlier, have a better expected goals conceded statistics than Chelsea. And I mean, when you hear that, it's quite shocking, really, when you think about it, because we target Wolves, but we don't target Chelsea. But if we're looking at attackers, we've got a more the expected goals favourite targeting Chelsea over Wolves. It's crazy, like funny thing, football. But the new manager, he's done well. He's come in, he's tightened them up, and like Trig said before, they're not getting hammered in any match. They're losing, but they're not getting hammered. So that's why I went against Barnes this week. And also, it's just boring if I pick Newcastle players every week. I do like Kirkes as an option from Kanji.
I'm surprised he's not gone Frimpong. Because is he gone over 5%? We've had him in it before.
Oh no, he's over 5%. He tried to pick Frimpong.
Right.
Because he was 5.6% owned.
Yeah, he's up to 5.9% now. But
wow.
Yeah, I like the Kirkes punt. You might get 6 points. I think Liverpool are looking a lot better recently. They've tightened up a bit defensively. And, but then you've got Conor Bradley out for the season now. Is that going to impact them? We just don't know.
So I'll justify my pick last. Tavernier. Don't listen to them, ladies and gentlemen. I called it. You were on the Pubcast with me, Craig, where long before the model was updated, I said that I was bringing Tavernier in. I called it out days before that in a members video that Andrew watched. The world, the community, the models are copying me. Marry, snog, avoid. I'm marrying Tavernier. He is my man. Even away against Brighton, which Kanji went a big. It's a my sample's not here.
Big
it's
balls call.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. Let's move on to our teams for this week. So first of all, we got Nightmares up. You've already made your move, haven't you? So 0 free transfers left. 0.3 in the bank. I believe your move was Thiago. Vortamade to Thiago. So Andrew's team is Henderson away to Sunderland, Gabriel away to Forest, O'Reilly. Obviously, there's some concerns about now in terms of where we start away to Man United, Hall away to Wolves, Tarkowski away to Aston Villa, Rice away to Nottingham Forest, Foden away to Man United again. Maybe we could pick up on that, Andrew, when you talk about their minutes. Bruno Guimaraes, his main man, away to Wolves. Ekateke, who's not your captain here, at home to Burnley, Thiago away to Chelsea, and Haaland captain in this graphic, at least away to Man United. Cunha, Mukalele, Longstaff, bench. Talk us through it, mate.
I do like that you keep calling Mukalele. I just feel like George Formby. Ding, 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 ding.
That's his real
name.
Give me
little Mukalele in me hand. But yeah, I mean, look, this is why I have been considering the early wildcard before deciding against it, and why I'm considering taking a -8, maybe even a -12. But I feel like
wow,
I feel like might be a bit much. I feel like when I've got Mukiele on my bench, there's no need for a hit. But O'Reilly is going to be an issue going forward. I feel Foden's going to be an issue going forward. But then Cunha obviously is an issue going forward, and I'm not keen on Dean Henderson. But what can you do? I'm not going to sell Henderson because that's just Henderson's my 5th keeper of the season. I don't need another one just yet. Like, you know, you shouldn't make keeper transfers, and I'm making far too many. I don't feel O'Reilly is a start risk this weekend, to be honest. I feel he'll start. He was subbed off at 60 minutes in the week, probably to keep him fresh for the weekend. But I just don't think Man City keep a clean sheet is the long and short of it. I think Foden might. You see, the problem is I don't think Foden's going to be benched in the Manchester derby.
He'll start, I reckon.
Yeah, but he's not doing very well, is he? Like, let's be real. But then this is what we're talking about. Foden, to me, feels a bit like Thiago all over again. Everyone's sold him. And then, like, if anyone can punish that, it's Phil Foden against Man United and Wolves. So I'm not... There's going to be a lot of shiny new toy syndrome with Shirky and with now Semenyo. I feel like people start buying him again. But I feel like I'll keep Foden for now, and then he's an easy sell to Bruno Fernandes in 2 weeks. Cunha, I want rid of Cunha, but like I can just bench him. Like if I start Mukiele over O'Reilly there, which I probably will end up doing, then I think that team's fine, you know. Maybe, but then I do think maybe a hit bench Tarkowski and bench O'Reilly, take Cunha out for Enzo Fernandez and start him. Maybe, I don't know. Something to think about. What would you think, Trig? Would you? I think we know you're going to say don't take a hit, but if you were to take a hit, if you were to take a -8 with this team, which 2 players would you replace this week?
O'Reilly and Cunha. If I was going to take a hit. Well, that's not even a -8, is it? That's just a -4. And Longstaff if I was taking a -8.
It would be a -8. I've already done Voltemada to Thiago.
Oh, okay. In that case, it would be Cunha and O'Reilly, I think. But I'm more worried about your bench decision here. For a start, you said you were going to rotate Bruno and Mukiele home and away because it's the second best thing in the world. But here you've done it the other way around. And Wolves are good, so you're not going to get anything from Bruno G this week. And also you benched Cunha instead of Tarkowski. I mean, I've got the same thing, and I've actually benched Tarkowski rather than benching Cunha because Keane's out for a start, isn't he? And I don't know how much that'll affect them, but aware Aston Villa's a tough fixture.
I'm not convinced Cunha starts.
Cunha could do all right, I reckon. And maybe that's because I'm selling him. I'm worried he's going to get a goal. But yeah, I wouldn't trust O'Reilly's minutes. We've seen it a couple of times. Even when he starts, he can get hooked before 60 minutes. And Aït-Nouri's back. So
the thing with Tarkowski is he's just so, you know, it's a 3-pointer at the very least, I feel, you know, and I just like his last 2 away games. He got 9 points against Forest, 8 points against Burnley. Like, fair enough, the one before that, he got 1 point against Chelsea. But then away at Bournemouth, he got 10 points. Away at Man United, he got 8 points. Like, he seems to actually do better in away games, and I feel like that Villa game is primed for those DEFCON points. I feel he'll get them before half time. So it's like,
Yeah, he will.
if the DEFCONs are nailed, is it worth benching him?
Yeah, I'd still start Cunha over him, I think. I mean, that's just me. With or O'Reilly, even. I'd rather have Cunha than O'Reilly in that match, just for something to enjoy watching, to be honest. And he's not a terrible pick, Cunha. I know we all hate it. Cat, what are you?
I've got him benched.
It's raining outside. She doesn't want to go out.
I mean, go on, Gary.
You know what strikes me about this? It's the 4-3-3. I'm very shape orientated at the minute. You know, I showed off my Christmas tree formation on which has now changed the other night. 4-3-3. We don't see many of them, do we? That's my insightful insight.
Well, I was building to a 4-5-1, 5-4-1 hybrid, but I don't know. I just don't think I'll get there. I feel like it's the best formation. Friend of the channel, Kieran from the double pivot, absolutely killing it. Top 1K, I think he's 904th or something in the entire world, and he's played 5-4-1 most of the season. Like,
we keep saying it, don't we? And then we've been saying it since. Do you remember we did an entire podcast with Kieran, didn't we? About game week 5.
I feel like we're preconditioned in FPL to think attackers are more exciting and attackers are more maverick. We are mavericks because we go for the attackers, but is there anything more maverick in FPL than playing 5-4-1? I just don't think there is. It's like the ultimate. Again, it contravenes every notion we believe about FPL. And your man Kieran from the double pivot, FPL Discomfort, absolutely killing it. And you know, I saw it early after I watched that podcast with Walsh and Late Riser. I put out my video. I want to get to this, but I'd already wildcarded because I'm stupid. You know, I panicked in game week 3 and wildcarded, and then it was game week 4. I saw it, and I've just never managed to get to the 5 at the back. And I feel like I'm almost there. I feel O'Reilly if I was to take a hit, it would be O'Reilly and Cunha to Enzo and Timber. And then I'd feel I'm almost there for me 5-4-1, 4-5-1 hybrid. It would just be Hall to Munoz when the time is right. And then that would be my defense for the rest of the season. Gabriel Timber, Munoz, Mukiele, and Tarkovsky, at least until the doubles. But I just don't know if it's worth a hit.
Just shout out the double pivot lads. They're saying they're on tonight. So please do check them out. Good friends of the channel.
Yeah.
9:15.
Also to say, like, the double pivot deserve a much higher viewership. Like, Kieran's top 1K, Shane's like top 50K or something. The two of them are absolutely killing it. You know, Shane, like we were talking about the difficulty in assessing the fixtures, the FDR earlier. Shane does a weekly podcast where he examines the FDR week by week to see, you know, to reassess it all. They deserve your time. And, you know, if you're watching and you don't follow the double pivot, give them a chance after this. And also make sure to subscribe to the FPL Pubcast, because the channel is now on 1,970 plus subscribers. So close to that magical 2K mark. Let's get Gary over the line. Let's get him to the 2K.
You went the other day, mate, which was great to see. So let's move on to Roberto. Roberto's one free transfer, a nice 1.6 million in the bank. He's going with Pickford away to Villa, Robinson and Wilson away to Leeds, Lacroix at home away to Sunderland. So many aways this week. We saw this on Saturday, didn't we, Roberto?
Yeah.
Cal away to Newcastle, Gordon away to Wolves, Foden away to Man United, Tavernier away to Brighton, Thiago away to Chelsea, Watkins at home to Everton, and then Haaland captain away to Man United with Neto, Collins, and O'Brien on the bench. Talk us through it,
man. So I might take a hit this week. I didn't think I was going to. I was gonna maybe just change Chow, But now I'm thinking I want to get rid of Gordon with all of Andrew's negative talk.
So, lads, I
on
need to pop off again for 1 second.
Anthony Gordon.
Could you not just start Neto over him?
I could. It's just
You could, Rosanier might not.
I don't know. Do you think Neto's good enough? Though? I'm not sure. Because the fixtures,
If he starts,
when
if he
Chelsea
starts,
fixtures, yeah, that's the thing. When the Chelsea fixtures get a bit better, game week 24, I'm gonna be starting Neto, but just not so confident in Chelsea at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure. Would you even consider like more than the -4 here, Andrew? Because I don't know.
Well, this is the thing, right? I look at it and I think you don't need it. You don't need it to make any transfers at all.
Yeah,
and then I think
I'd save.
What I'm not keen on is starting Robinson at Leeds, because I think Leeds are phenomenal at home at the minute, and I just don't think you want to take the risk of starting. I feel like Collins against Chelsea has more chance of results, but that's up to you. If you what hits are you looking at?
It would be selling Chow and selling Gordon. Although I feel like this is the game where Gordon might just go big because it's Wolves.
Exactly. It's a wrong week to take a hit. Take out.
Maybe I'll just stick to the original plan and sell Chow.
You could, if you wait a week. I feel it's a better time to sell. I don't feel selling players before Wolves is a sensible move, really. Like, you could sell Gordon and Newcastle get a penalty, and then you're just like, well, why did I sell a penalty taker away at Wolves? Like, Murphy's injured, Olanga's crap, so we've only got Gordon and Barnes we can realistically start. Gordon came off early in the week, so he's had a little bit of a rest. And for all I criticise him, he has improved a lot recently. He's looking more dangerous. He's looking more likely. He's a good player. He's not a great player. He's not the player. If he was half the player he thinks he is, Anthony Gordon would be world class. But he's not a bad player. He's a persistent attacker, and he'll run at them. And when you've got a player who runs at people in the box, you've always got a chance of a penalty. And I don't think there's any doubt he's Newcastle's penalty taker. I've got D Unit in the chat saying Newcastle ain't keeping a clean sheet. I don't think I've said they are. Like, I'm sure I said earlier.
D Unit says they aren't. They are.
D Unit's like the drunk in the corner of the pub, just ranting and raving to anyone who'll listen. Get him out of them toilet cubicles.
Wonder what he's doing in there.
But like, maybe Newcastle don't concede, but look, they are looking dangerous from corners, and Chow is one of them that looks the most dangerous, the most likely to benefit from Guimaraes' corners. But you're taking a hit for a defender. You're asking for a lot to cover the hit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe I could potentially replace O'Brien instead of Chow, because then I could get my O'Brien replacement, start him over Robinson, and then just hope that Newcastle do well against Wolves.
Hang on a minute. I've just seen something here. Something especially egregious. On Saturday, you said you would marry Raya and you would avoid Pickford, I believe. But I look at who's in goal, and you've got Pickford in goal. What is going on, Roberto?
He's cheating. He's cheating.
I like to not reveal all my secrets and get people to pick the wrong players.
I am on the verge of changing my mind here, because I'm just looking at your team in more detail, and you don't have Gabriel, and I feel like even going, well, you can if you're taking a hit, can't you? So
yeah, it's just whether I take a hit.
Well, I would take a hit for Gabriel, because like I said, I think he's captaincy material this weekend, and if he isn't, if he gets even 9 points, it's going to kill you in the ranks. I
do want an Arsenal player. I do think that was the plan before with going Chow to a Timber, because I basically don't have the funds to do it in one move. if I wanted Gabriel. So I'd have to take a hit to get Gabriel, basically.
Has he gone up since Saturday, man?
I don't know, to be honest. But
7 then, weren't he? I think it probably has.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really want to take a hit.
If you got rid of
one move,
if you got rid of Gordon for Enzo Fernandez, could you get Gabriel in for Chow? I feel like that's a hit. That is a hit I would take.
It's just whether it's worth the hit. Because if
Gordon's got penalties, and if Palmer misses out, then Enzo's on penalties. Enzo's probably he's got more open play threat because the XGI confirms it. And then Gabriel absolutely poops over Chow. You know, Gabriel is the second best player in the game, really. And if Haaland's off form, he's the best player in the game. And I feel if you're going to take a hit for anyone, it has to be Gabriel. And I feel like you need to. Because Nottingham Forest is.
I can afford Gabriel in for Chow, and then I can get anyone 7.3 or less in midfield. So I could get Enzo.
Nottingham Forest are also one of the worst teams for defending set pieces, just to factor into your decision. A bit more context.
Should we move on to Trig's team? So Trig,
I haven't had a say on this one yet.
All right. I saw you looking a bit. You're looking a bit like I want to talk.
Couldn't get a bloody word in. Right.
Go on, mate. This is what happens when the moderator leaves.
I mean, Wolves are pretty good, but I mean, I don't think this is the right time to take out your Newcastle players. And when you can do it for free next week, why take -4 when you're not guaranteed to get any more points this week if you bring in Enzo or anybody? Gordon can probably get just as many points as Enzo can this week. I just think you save for transfer.
What, and have no Arsenal for Forest?
Yeah, have no Arsenal for Forest. I mean, you've done all right with them without them so far. Or if you're going to have to take a -4 to get them, and it's defeating itself anyway, isn't it? So
yeah, well, I might. That's why I was considering just getting Timber for free, because
well, you could do that.
At least then I'd have some Arsenal. Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah, that looks a reasonable move.
I agree with Trig. Let's move on to Trig's team. Trig's got 3 free transfers. Lucky get 0.7 in the bank. He's got Sanchez at home to Brentford, Gabriel away to Forest, Okora away to Sunderland, Virgil home to Burnley. Anderson away to Leeds, Shirky, Foden, and Haaland cap away to Man United. Saka vice cap away to Forest. Cunha, who is starting at home to Man City. Thiago away at Chelsea. Tarkowski, Elliot Anderson, Gui bench. Talk us through it, mate. Are you planning to finally use any of them transfers?
I've got the mighty Gui. I tell you what, with Delap not being in the squad today, he's either injured or he's starting against Brentford at the weekend. And I think if people are looking for a Chelsea punt, they could do worse than Delap. That's my view on that one. Because he's probably not going to play that vital Napoli game, but he will play those easy league games because they're right up Delap street. So let's have a look. I've got 4 choices here. Basically, Cunha's coming out, I think. First choice is to save and just play Cunha. Solio wanted me to actually bench Thiago here rather than Cunha or Tarkowski. I wasn't doing that because look, Cat, he's got a better cat than you.
He said hello to Trig.
Can we get some cat like I don't know relationships going on here, like long distance? I don't know.
Yeah. I've taken her treats away now, so she won't come back. So it wanted me to bench Thiago, but it also wanted me to bench Thiago when he got his hat trick. So there's no way I listened to. There's no way I'm benching Thiago. So Cunha is going for somebody. It's either a safer transfer, Enzo, Rice, or that's about it, I think. Enzo or Rice coming in for Cunha. Or the outside chance is Shirky going and Cunha going, Fernandez and Enzo coming in. That's another option. Should I find out Shirky's not starting? Because City's the early match. I don't like team leaks, but I will be up and about. And if I find out Shirky isn't starting,
We're not getting many, I think, are we?
no, thankfully we don't get them. But if we do, and I find out one of those isn't starting, I probably will do something about it. But yeah, basically Cunha to either Enzo or Rice. I'm not sure which. That'll give me my 3 Arsenal players. A lot depends on tonight, to be honest, where Rice is concerned. Like if Chelsea give them a good thrashing tonight with Gooey hat-trick, then Arsenal won't have a double. So I'll be less inclined to get Rice in. If Chelsea are rubbish and Enzo's rubbish, then I'll be less inclined to get him in, and then I'll be getting Rice in. So, yeah, I think tonight's match should probably decide my transfer this week. If they're all rubbish, then I might just keep Cunha for another week. But probably not, because they're away at Arsenal next week, so there's no point hanging on to him, really. So I think he could do something against City, but probably is the right time to get rid of him. And then next week, Virgil van Dijk might be leaving. Although, as someone else said, Liverpool's fixtures aren't that terrible. So, and if they are improving, I might just keep him for a bit. No, I don't need the money for Palmer.
He sucked for you, though, isn't he, Trig?
He's not that bad. He's 2 clean sheets at the last 3. Foden to Fernandes in a couple of weeks. So that's all I need to do, really. Get Enzo in, get Bruno in.
You're in a strong position, mate.
You know, I've got all these 3 transfers. I haven't had any injuries for weeks, have I? I've had no yellow flags for like weeks and weeks.
We switched luck, as you pointed out on Saturday, haven't we?
Yeah. Due.
Andrew, any thoughts on Trig's plans there?
I think Trigger's got it all figured out, really. Like Trigger's a deep thinker about the game and probably definitely deserves a lot more recognition and respect in the wider community for his strategic insights. My question would be, if Sanchez finds himself dropped for the other one, Jorgensen, will you replace him in the coming game week? So, like, how many games would he have to miss out on before you'd replace him?
Any, I think. I'm not happy with him anyway, because like you said, Chelsea's defence isn't great. So I wouldn't need much of an excuse to get rid of him. And a new manager loves passing goalkeepers, and Sanchez is terrible about it. I mean, last season, Chelsea made so many stupid, like the trend was back then, wasn't it? Keep playing out from the back. Lots of teams were giving away stupid goals. And most of them seem to have stopped that now. But the new manager loves all that sort of thing. And Sanchez is just no good at it. So it's only a matter of time before he passes to an attacker, from the other team. And they can see the stupid goal. And as soon as he does it, he'll probably be replaced. So keeping him for the time being, see what happens. I was even looking at Raya, funnily enough.
Well,
which I know I don't like expensive keepers, but I think in that double game week, if Arsenal do get it, he's one of the few players who are guaranteed to play both matches. Him and Gabriel. Timber could easily get a rest for White, although there are rumours White might be actually being sold in the window. But so I'm kind of looking at Raya if Arsenal do well tonight, which is not my usual philosophy. But like I said, without Palmer, I've got nothing to spend the money on. So I've already made up my mind on not getting Palmer. I thought it's better to plan with certainty. And so I put him on 0 on all the things and just not going to get him, full stop. So once you make that decision, it makes it a lot easier to plan going forward because you realise how much money you've got and all that type of thing. So there's no way Palmer's serviceable. He's not even on the bench tonight. I mean, he will play Brentford, but then after that, it's anybody's guess. Well, is he? I didn't see him.
No, I'm not questioning you, mate. I'm just saying I'm surprised.
Yeah. Delap's not either, which is really weird. Especially as João Pedro and Gui are both starting. So there's no kind of replacement to come on for them.
Okay, for the sake of time, can we get on to my team? Because I've just remembered we've got another slide to talk about after my team. So
I've got 9.
That's what I'm thinking. So I've got one free transfer, 0.6 in the bank. Keller away to Chelsea, Gabriel Timber away to Forest, Hall away to Wolves, Lacroix away to Sunderland, Tavernier away to Brighton, Szoboszlai home to Burnley, Foden away to Man United, as is Haaland, who's my captain, Saka at Forest, and Thiago away to Chelsea. And I've got Anderson, first bench, Cunha, second bench, Gui, third bench. So my formation has changed since Friday. I love my 5-4-1 or whatever it was, 5-4-2. That was 5-4-1, wasn't it? But I've gone back to a more traditional 4-4-2. I'm just going to roll this week probably. And, I made a members video, which Andrew watched the other day, where I was talking about I want to probably get in Rice instead of Saka, Palmer and Bruno. I've probably gone down a bit on Palmer after having this conversation tonight, but it doesn't put me off rolling this week. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Just roll. I'm pretty happy with this team for this week. Trig?
Yeah, there's nothing to do here. One more thing on my team. I forgot to mention one option I had, which is Cunha to Wirtz, which is one I'm considering too. So if I don't like the look of Enzo or Rice tonight, it might be Wirtz just for the next couple of weeks. But I'd definitely roll this team, I think. I expect reviews telling you to start Anderson and bench Thiago, but you're not going to listen to that, are you?
It still wants you to play 5-4-1, but I can't do it. I can't. I set it up on Saturday in review, and I'm like, I cannot bench.
A lot of review managers had Thiago benched when he got his hat trick, didn't they? Because it's recommending not starting Thiago quite a lot, I think. But I'll always start an attacker over a defender.
I mean, having 8 million on the bench in Cunha doesn't feel nice, but I can't get to anyone that I want. I can't get to Fernandes.
Oh.
But I can't get to Fernandes or any of those players. I need another transfer. So it's just I've got to bench him and roll to get the transfer to get rid of him next week, I think.
I think in your team, I'd actually bench Tavernier and start Cunha.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you're getting a bit worked up over Tavernier. I mean, he's just a cheap bum that's like the community.
Cheap bum. How dare you insult my future husband?
He's going to get a few assists and that, and maybe on penalties, but we don't know. But I mean, I'd still rather play Cunha than him this week.
I don't know. I'm throwing my weight behind Tavernier, and I'll probably end up looking like an idiot as I usually do. But
they probably both do nothing, to be fair.
Andrew, any thoughts on my team before we? Actually, let me ask Roberto, because we're about to go on to the slide with your video to ask you about some stuff. So, Roberto, any thoughts on my team, mate?
Yeah, I really like your team. I think Szoboszlai is still the one. The jury's out a little bit, but the rest of it,
massively.
Yeah. The rest of it, I really like. I think with what Andrew said earlier about Foden, I've also got him, and I'm a little bit worried long term. But I think for now we can just hope that he's gets minutes still, and sort of stays a good option. I think Lewis Hall as well. I like him. I wish I had him over Chow, to be honest, because I feel a lot less confident in Chow in comparison. But the bench is the only thing I would be worried about, because if you get an injury to, let's say, Foden or Gabriel, I think there's a few transfers that would have to be made to sort of give you subs you'd be sort of confident in. And because you've only got 0.6 in the bank, it's like that rig room isn't too much. So yeah, but to be honest, I think generally most of this team, as we've said earlier, doesn't necessarily need a lot of surgery right now. It's just think if you have a good week this week, roll, and then sort of you can attack the next few weeks with some free transfers, then I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, Trig, I was just going to say, mate, if you need to disappear to watch the match, don't worry, we'll finish off.
No, I've got 5 minutes yet before I watch Gui score his goal and assisted by
Andrew, any thoughts before?
I don't have anything further to. Are you not interested in Harry Wilson?
I don't like Harry Wilson. I was talking to...
Yeah, no, not really. Not really. I mean, if I was to wildcard now and completely change my team, maybe, but I'm not gonna use a transfer to get rid of Tavernier or Szoboszlai for Wilson. But let's move on to our last slide. So this was one that I threw in. So if you didn't, I would highly recommend going and watching this interview. You've done a few, Andrew, but I'd say this is probably the one I enjoyed the most. No offense to Trig or Darius or any of the other people you've had on there, because you didn't just talk about. So Andrew's got this Soul versus Solio debate podcast where he's been talking about whether he should play with his soul or play versus Solio. What I really liked, I'm going to shut up and just pass over to you, Andrew. What I really liked with this one is you didn't just talk about that. You got into some of the real emotion of FPL and what it's like to run Black Box with Az and Mark Southernsleeve. You know, I interviewed them both last season and it was brilliant. Do you want to tell us a bit, where are you on the Soul versus Solio debate, mate, and about your interviews that you've been doing?
Well, on the Soul versus Solio debate, I am cautiously experimenting. Some would say I am like bi-curious, to put it in sexuality terms. I'm not all the way there, but I am flirting with the idea. And what I'm doing with Solio, which I talk a bit about in this interview with Az, is I am coming up with my own plan on FPL.team, which is a fantastic free planner website. Like all my screen graphics are FPL.team. I don't need to go into them. You all know them, and if you don't, just look them up.
You use them every Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm putting my plan into that and figuring out my plan on that, and then I'm running it in. I'm putting it into Solio and running like a Solio solve, so I can see like the projection for the Solio projection and the projection for my team. And like, if there's a big egregious difference, then I'll have to have another. I will have a second think. But if it's like close, then I just think, well, this is what the game's about. You know, I'm not. If my team is like 5 points worse off projected over 5 game weeks, then I'm just going to go with it because, you know, that's the sort of risk I want to engage in. So that's where I'm at, and I think that's probably where I'll end up landing in general, because I just don't. I feel like these projections, really, what people seem to take them as gospel, whereas in reality, all they are is like an FDR for individual players put into a numerical form rather than color. And that's how I'm looking at them, you know, and that's probably where I'm going to end up longer term. So we'll see. I'm going to use it because it's quite fun to go on the website, but I'm not beholden to it. This interview with Az, really enjoyed it. Absolute top man. Very open, he said, ask me anything. Didn't have any questions beforehand. So all his responses were just honest responses. And whether you agree with him or disagree with him, I think he gave his perspective well. And I love the bloke. Like, I love talking to him. And, you know, hopefully I'll do it again in the future, because I still had a lot to get through. But obviously, when we were recording, it was midweek last week, and the football was starting, and he wanted to get down the pub to watch Brighton. So, you know, you can't. What can you say about that?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Craig, did you have any thoughts on the interview? I know you watched them.
Yeah, no, I quite enjoyed it. It's going to be interesting to see what Az does now. It'd be a shame he's not picking these weird picks, though. I quite enjoy it, you know, but I don't think he needed a model, though, to say that the likes of Morgan Gibbs White were bad picks. That's the thing I was thinking during it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's doing badly because he's not using a model. He's doing badly because he's just making stupid picks, like bringing in Forest players and stuff. So, but I agree with Andrew that using FPL, I think that models can make you lazy, and I think going straight to FPL team is the go-to way to do it, and just like plan it manually and in your head, and then go and see. Because this is what I do with chess. You know, you like do all your study, play your game, and then you go and look at to see what you could do differently. And that's the best way to use it, I think. And those projections are just like a guide, really. I mean, the differences between the first and the fourth or fifth pick is normally minute, and they're not 100% accurate anyway, are they? Nothing is. So they're not written in stone. So just picking the top one all the time is just silly, really.
Do you know the thing that stuck out to me the most was him saying that when him and Mark were, he said specifically it wasn't a conscious decision, but if we just go by with what the models say or what the community are doing, it's going to be boring. So maybe there was an unconscious desire to pick a slightly different team. And I was wondering, like, Darius on this channel, yourself, maybe even Andrew sometimes, how that sort of like filters into your mind, which doesn't for me, but I found that really interesting.
I don't think it was an unconscious desire. I think it was a very conscious choice of ours to pick different players from Mark to make it interesting, to make the podcast more interesting. And I think we all do it. Like I said to him, if you go down the pub with your mates and your mate says, "Oh, I'm going to captain Gabriel this week," and you've already got him in mind, you'll try and talk him out of it to, make it more interesting, the banter between you and your mates. And I think it's like a lot of the time on these podcasts, it's the same. It's just televised for anyone who wants to watch it.
I mean, would you have captained Gordon if you weren't making content? And, so...
Yes, I would have done. I absolutely would have done, because he was so close. Like, he had 3 chances within about a minute from about 6 yards, and then he missed them, and then he went and got the red card. And it's like, if one of them had gone in, it would have looked brilliant, and it didn't go in. But maybe consciously, I'm trying too hard.
So you're saying it would have looked brilliant?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But what I would say,
you're worried about other people when you're making your picks.
Yeah, but I always worry about other people, like even among my mates. Like, I don't think making content had anything to do with me doing that. I think,
but you spent your entire last 8 game weeks last season blocking off your mini league rival.
Exactly. I sacrificed my content for the sake of winning my mini league. But what I would say is that I consciously do always look for an edge, like whether I'm making content or not. And I felt that was an opportunity for an edge. Maybe subconsciously I did think, this is going to be good content either way. And I mean, it was, let's be fair, it was a great video. And, he goes and gets red carded after hyping it all up all weekend. But I feel like it's impossible to know how much making content influences our choices, to be honest.
See, for me, it doesn't.
It hasn't in the past.
That's the other thing about doing an ensemble thing, which you were saying, Andrew, is, I'm always with people, you know what I mean? At least when I'm doing something publicly. So I just do what I always did. And it doesn't affect me, because I've got people like yourself and Darius coming on who are making those outlandish picks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you get to look like the voice of reason.
Yeah, which I'm not. It never happens at any other point in my life. Lads, mate, Roberto, is there anything you want to say on this before I think we should probably wrap up. The football's on. I think other things are starting.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting debate, all in all, because a lot of the things with Solio and the models are, this is how we should play the game. But and I think a lot of people that look into analytics do take it really seriously, but there are other managers that don't ever go on it. So it provides a really interesting contrast when you look at what is a team that looks like it's been started from one of those models and what is. So I think sometimes the line between them is sort of merging, because we can sort of think, oh, that team has to be a Solio pick or a team-made team. And so actually sometimes it can just be pure coincidence which players have been selected. So I think it's quite interesting how, a lot of people make a big thing of it, but actually it's becoming maybe less sort of clear and obvious as the sort of seasons go by.
Oops, so I muted myself there. I'm just going to bring up a quick comment here. Gary defaults to FPL review. I will challenge you, Darius, or anyone else. Put my team ID into FPL review, see what it recommends every week, and see how many times I actually do it. I think you're going to find it. You can do it, mate. You can do it. I reckon you. I mean, the default transfer, default captain, default bench, probably less than 25%. But do I take it into account? Of course I do. Lads, let's wrap up. Please do join myself, the naughty Darius there in the chat, Kanji, hopefully, and Trig for the lock-in on Saturday. We'll be reacting to Saturday's games. Lads, where can we find you? Andrew, I'll start with yourself, mate. As if anyone needs to know now. You're 2,000 subscribers, doing so well, getting ads on your channel. And
you see me over at FPL Nightmare. You can click on, I've commented in the chat. I'll do that again now. Just come over and give us a subscribe and watch my video after the football later.
Trig?
I might well do it. I'm at Trig Talks FPL. I've got my own YouTube channel. Somebody in the comments the other day was surprised I didn't have my own YouTube channel, and he just found it because I thought I was always on here. This is just a tiny part of what I do, and I've got my own channel, which is much better than this one, of course. And I do regular content on that, and I shall be doing a video after this match at some stage, where I kind of look more into the transfers this week. First 5 minutes, Enzo took a corner, nearly went in directly from the corner. So it looks like he's on corners at the moment. Rice is just taking one for Arsenal, and Chelsea started quite well, although probably going to concede now. But yeah, that's where I am on fuck. They scored. Is that Gabriel? Bloody hell.
Probably.
First corner Arsenal get, they score. Rice corner, white goal.
Maybe I am taking a hit after all.
And I will send Trig, I'll send you the collab link after. If you click on subscribe and Trig has done this, it won't do it now. It will come up with Trig's channel, which you can subscribe to. And it's Trigger Talks FPL. I looked up the other day, you're not on Trig Talks FPL anymore. It's Trigger Talks FPL.
Roberto. Yes, you've got a bit of live action there with a goal directly from. That's pathetic from Sanchez.
Roberto, my friend, where can we find
This is what I said about Sanchez. He's a bit wishy-washy. You can find me on Twitter at Roberto Hollis 9. So yeah, that's the main place really. I'm also on Instagram at Roberto_the_pro. Yeah, that will be where I'll be looking. I'll be very intrigued at some of the transfers being made ahead of deadline. I'll probably be retweeting some of the best transfers that I come across among the brilliant FPL community. So yeah, watch out as you.
Is that new Instagram for you?
No, did I say Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram. I've got an Instagram account now, but no one's followed me because I haven't advertised it. I've got nothing on it.
Yeah, no, I'll be on Twitter as well, or X as it's now called, sort of scouting out the transfer activity for sure.
Awesome, mate. And you'll also be on here. Obviously, we don't know when yet, but Roberto is the ghost. He could turn up at any time, anywhere. Anything you wanted to say before we finish, lads?
No, I think that's everything.
No.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.